Thanks for checking out the Brad and John Show podcast. This segment of the show is brought to you by John Combest's book, Stalking, Harassment, Internet Trolling, A Guide to Recovering and Rebuilding After Online Attacks. It's a great reference if you've ever been the unfortunate target of a social media attack. It's available on Amazon. Just search John Combest. That's C-O-M-B-E-S-T, John Combest, and the book will show up in your search results. Now it's time for another segment of the Brad and John Show. Can you handle it?
I'm Egbert, the owner of this station. Check out my website at egbert.com. That's E-G-G-B-U-R-T, egbert.com. Now it's back to Brad and John. Check out their website at bjshow.co. The BJ Show? Come on, guys. Anyway, here's B and J.
And here we are. John is mobile this morning. So if he sounds a little bit different, it's because of the fact that he's not in the usual John Combest studio. But he will be by the next break, correct? Isn't that the way we're working this?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, so I'm listening to, what's his name again? Jack Cardetti?
Jack Cardetti, yep.
Okay, he's on with Reardon yesterday, and Reardon does a really good job. Mark Reardon, 97.1, interviews him. And you've ruined my whole thunder because he keeps saying, Brad. If the sports betting is approved, it'll help education. All kids will get smarter because we'll be putting all that money into. I'm going like, okay, here we go again. The lottery, okay? The lottery. What was the lottery supposed to do? The lottery's supposed to help education, okay? Then we have gambling, riverboat gambling, which is now anything but riverboat gambling, which is supposed to help education. Okay, if we got all this money coming in from the lottery and from riverboat gambling and now supposedly from sports betting, why the hell do all the school districts claim they don't have any money and they want to go to a 4-day school week? Can you answer that for me, John Combest?
Well, here's why. Because everyone knows it's a shell game. And it's the same thing. So the casino vote preceded my involvement in politics by, I think, 2 years. I got involved in 94. So I think gaming passed around 92, something like that. But the idea, it's a shell game. So the idea of, hey, look, we just need more money for education. But then once you allocate that money to education, then you can take that pot of money that previously had gone to education and spend it on other stuff, spend it on ancillary stuff. So, Brad, but the thing is, now you know this, Brad, if you were representing a casino or a sports team, are you going to say, hey, look, we want a whole bunch of money because it's good for shareholders and it's good for the economy? Of course not. Like Jack and the casinos and the sports teams are doing what they need to do, which is saying, look, it's for education. And Brad, who would dare oppose education?
Yeah, but here we go again. Hold on a minute. Here we go again. Oh, one more time. The voice is going. When you hit 85, your voice starts to go. And it's been going for 3 years. Okay, here we go once again. The money has to come from somewhere, okay? And where does the money come from? The money, and sometimes, and I'm not, don't get me wrong, I'm not one of these guys that says, well, because I don't do that, you shouldn't do it either.
Sure.
I get, sometimes when I go to the Quickie Mart, I unfortunately get behind someone who has 43,000 lottery tickets that they want to run through the machine. You know what I mean? I'm going, I'm going to be here all day. And I'm thinking to myself, I usually look at these people. Sometimes I'll look at when they leave they're driving, what kind of car they're driving. Okay, that person, instead of spending money for the lottery or going to the casino or now buying marijuana, that person could be buying a newer car. Or that person could be, moving up to a nicer home, or could be sending their kids off to college and have it paid for, not having the kids encumbered with student debt and things like that. So, in other words, the idea being is, well, it's helping our kids, but yet, where does the money come from? It doesn't come from the kids. It comes from their parents. So
it's a sorry to interrupt, Brad, but I mean, certainly it's a regressive tax. It's the definition of a regressive tax, and that you are taking money from people who don't have much of it and you're allocating it somewhere else.
Well, see, to me, I once again, I've given this example since you've known me and we've been on the air. I'm an old guy, grew up in this area, okay? North County boy, you and I are both North County boys, okay? And once again, let's say on the day of my high school graduation, which was a long time ago, if I was being interviewed by somebody like, let's say, Chris Condon from Channel 5 was there at my high school graduation. You have no idea who Chris Condon is, do you?
I don't.
Okay, he's an ex-newscaster.
Oh, he was the guy. He was. I sent you some wacky outtake videos of him, remember?
Right. He was a newscaster years and years and years ago. Okay, let's say he's interviewing me and he said, hey, what about looking into the future? What do you think will happen? Do you think that in the state of Missouri we'll have the lottery and we'll have legalized gambling and we'll have sports betting? And do you think we'll have legalized marijuana sales? I'd go, this is Missouri, NFW. And you know what NFW stands for?
No freaking way.
Right. There's no way that's going to happen in the state of Missouri. And now, the interesting thing is, Jack Cardetti, and this drives me nuts when I hear people say this. Well, we're the 38th state, and we don't have to, because Reardon's point was, okay, look at this monstrosity that we have as far as the constitutional amendment for the cannabis stuff, which includes hiring a DEI officer for the state of Missouri and all sorts of other crazy stuff.
Yep.
And Cardetti's response was, yes, but we're the 38th state and we've streamlined this regulation. Okay, it's like the people that say, well, in Europe, and I always say, move to Europe. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, but Brad, they have free healthcare in Canada.
Right, that kind of stuff. Yes.
We'll move to Canada. I get what you're saying.
And if you watch any YouTube videos, there's this interesting dynamic. I can't remember the guy's name. He's like head of the Conservative Party in Canada. I don't know if you know this whole crazy story. They've got like an energy tax or some kind of a global warming tax or some crazy crap like that, and even the rank and file Canadians are going like, okay, enough's enough. Now, do you know what, like in Canada, they do not have a First Amendment, and you can be thrown in jail for things that you say which are against the government line. Did you know that?
Like opposing Trudeau.
Right, exactly. And if you oppose Trudeau, they can literally come to your house. You've blasphemed. What's the term? Blasphemed or blasphemized?
Blasphemer. You're a blasphemer. Yeah.
Right. You blasphemed the what is he? He's not the president. He's the
Prime Minister.
Prime Minister. He's the PM. Okay. You've blasphemed the president, the Prime Minister. We're throwing you in jail for 30 days. Shock treatment. I'm going like, okay, this is crazy stuff. I mean, I see.
And the beauty of it, but the beauty is, Brad, here in the United States, you can talk about Joe Biden's hoka shoes and say that Joe likes a wide box, and nobody's going to knock on your door. Let's get back to Cardetti and gambling for a minute, Brad.
I heard the guy. I thought to myself, this guy is the ultimate slickster. Okay, that's my opinion. Now, you say you know him, right?
Yeah, so I'll tell you my bias about Jack Cardetti, which I think is relevant to this conversation. So I know one guy who I like a lot, who professionally isn't crazy about Jack Cardetti, because the marijuana fight, Brad, split a lot of pro-marijuana people. Some people who thought that the state was doing too much and that big cannabis was getting too much. So Jack definitely has his critics. I will say, hilariously, when Jack was in the Nixon administration, Jack had some real bums going after him. Actually, not bums, plural. Jack just had a bum who would create like hate websites and hate blog posts about how terrible Jack was, which actually made Jack way more sympathetic of a figure to me. But here's the thing, Brett. So let's not look at the Jack Cardettis of the world as good or bad or doing good or doing evil. What if they're just a tool, Brad? And you think of them like you would think of your lawnmower or a shovel. And if you're the casino industry, you're going to use a tool that has good relationships in the media, that knows a lot about passing things. And Jack is a Democrat. So if you're a Democrat in Missouri, the only way you find success is through ballot initiatives. You go around the legislature and you pass things. So let's go back to Jack specifically. If you're Jack and your task is to show the casino industry and the sports industry, look, I'm the guy that passed marijuana in the state of Missouri. Hire me. You need me for this campaign. And probably, frankly, Brad, they probably went to Jack. Jack probably didn't have to pitch himself to them. And the point is, Brad, yes, he's going to talk about why the money should go to education. And if you're Jack people are betting on sports today in Missouri anyway. So why shouldn't the state of Missouri get a chunk of that money, Brad?
Well, John, take that same reasoning and say people are paying for prostitution in the state of Missouri right now. Why not legalize prostitution? People are paying.
Hey, look, Brad, you've made that argument before, and it's logical, and it makes sense. I would say that most people wouldn't put, I don't know, I would say most people wouldn't put prostitution on the same level as putting $100 on the Chiefs. But I see your logic.
So you're telling me that Jack Cardetti wouldn't get on, like let's say in 2 years, Jack Cardetti wouldn't get on Mark Reardon's show and say, well, when you go out and you just need that sex, and you're paying that prostitute, just think about the fact that when you pay that prostitute, 10% of what you pay that prostitute is going to go
to education.
Going to go to education. Oh, well, that makes it all different then. Yeah, I'm all for prostitution. It's called incrementalism. What's the old, the saying that you put a frog in a pot of water, cold water on the stove, and you very slowly increase the temperature. You very slowly increase the burner to the point where pretty soon the frog's dead, and he doesn't know he's dead because of the fact that you did it so slow. He didn't realize that he was being boiled, so to speak. See, and once again, I don't want to sound like I'm some little old man that says, hey boys, stop doing that. You're bothering me, and that kind of stuff. I just think it's to the point where it's like, okay, there comes a point when we say, see, and here's the thing for me, okay? It came out in the news the other day, last week, we haven't talked about this, that Busch Stadium is going to be 20 years old. It's coming up on 20 years old. And already, apparently, the DeWitt family is running up some trial balloons that they're going to try to get some state money to renovate Busch Stadium.
Absolutely. I saw that. We got to talk about that at some point, Brad.
And I'm going like, okay, enough is enough. And to the point where...
And you know who endorsed their campaign, though, Brad? Leonardo DiCaprio. He said, once something hits 20, good God, you see how wrinkly and worn out it gets?
Are you at home?
I am at home.
Okay,
yeah.
let's do a short. Let's do a. We're still short on this break. Let's go ahead and I'll run the break. And we'll switch you over to your home system. Is that okay?
That sounds fantastic.
Okay, and you can go ahead and hang up right now.
Thanks for checking out the Brad and John Show podcast. This segment of the show is brought to you by John Combest's book, Stalking, Harassment, Internet Trolling, A Guide to Recovering and Rebuilding After Online Attacks. It's a great reference if you've ever been the unfortunate target of a social media attack. It's available on Amazon. Just search John Combest. That's Combest, John Combest, and the book will show up in your search results. Now it's time for another segment of the Brad and John Show. Can you handle it?